Hello and welcome. My name is Charles Green and this is a one-off special Vodcast looking into inequality in the game of golf. The historical game is one of the oldest sports around, dating back to the 15th century, but since the Ladies Professional Golf Association, more commonly known as the LPGA, was formed in 1950, there has been much debate surrounding pay inequality, media attention and sponsorship opportunities when comparing the male and female games. Prior to and during the coronavirus pandemic, I interviewed 6 individuals who shared their thoughts on one of the game's biggest talking points.
It's even hard even on the main tour. Like there's some LPGA girls that don't even have that many sponsors, that have maybe one.
It's an easier game for men just because of the physical nature of it. Just men can generate more power than women can.
Men have way more chance to getting that sponsor and becoming pro and being supported by a lot of people. It's just the way it is.
The men's game is always going to have that slightly bit more exposure. It's not a sexist thing, I don't think, no.
A lot of the women's golfers I know, the fact that we don't watch women's golf, I think that right there shows a little bit of evidence that like something within the way that they're marketing the LPGA is not working.
A lot of people look at it in a point of view of what the player could bring to the actual sales floor, right? Who moves the needle the most.
In a game of golf, both male and female amateurs have the challenge of turning professional. For a male, the competition to turn professional is far greater than on the women's side, but unlike women, they're supported more by sponsorship opportunities. I spoke to Gabby Victoria-Sanlley. She is a former collegiate golfer from Barry University, and she also represented Dominican Republic at junior level. After leaving Barry, Gabby decided against turning professional due to the lack of sponsorship opportunities.
I was seeing how hard it is to become a professional golf player. It's like a full-time job. You have to practice at least 40 hours a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It becomes your full-time job and you have to be like really serious about it, not a lot of free time. And that's why I believe men sometimes are better at it than women. And that's when it comes the getting sponsorships and getting support from people. Men are gonna get that way more than women.
So do you think you had the same opportunity of turning pro after leaving college as your male colleagues?
I don't believe so. Unless you're the best woman golf player, men have way more chance to getting that sponsor and becoming pro and being supported by a lot of people. It's just the way it is. I don't know exactly why it is, but men's golf is way more supported by the whole universe.
Another female golfer who will soon be facing the same challenges as Gabby is Marie Dean, a collegiate golfer at Cal State Taylormade. Marie's goal is to turn professional when she finishes college, but is worried about the financial aspect of her journey.
One of the things with women turning professional is that we have to consider from like a financial standpoint that even if you do make it on the pro tour, unless you're one of like the top 5 to 10 in the world or have amazing sponsorships, I mean, you're out fighting for money every week.
As you can hear there, financial opportunities and sponsorship are crucial for young women turning pro. Taking that into consideration, I spoke to Juan Yumar, who works at Taylormade, one of golf's biggest equipment sponsors. When talking to Juan, I asked him what Taylormade is looking for when they sponsor players trying to turn pro.
A lot of people look at it in a point of view of what the player could bring to the actual sales floor, right? Who moves the needle the most. Of course, a couple of years ago, signing Tiger out of nowhere was a huge step for us. But at the point, Tiger was coming back from injuries and coming back from what he had, and no one expected him to come back the way he did. So we, of course, look at it at a period of time of the player, what the player could bring us at sales, right? What could the player do for us to sell more?
And what is it that you look for in women that makes you decide to back them for Taylormade?
Especially young girls. We recently signed Maria Fassi. When we made the decision, the biggest impact was when she played the Masters and the way she did, the way she acknowledged the crowd and the way she put the crowd into the tournament. We really focus on that. What kind of impact can a player have with the outside?
Maria Fassi is a young talent who has jumped onto the professional circuit. In September, she signed a Taylormade after she shot her way to fame in the Augusta National Women's Amateur in 2019. So what do you think men bring to Taylormade that women may not?
I don't think there's nothing different in being men or women when we sign someone. Of course, there's a significant amount of money, a different amount of money from the PGA Tour compared to the LPGA Tour, but that doesn't mean anything. We base it on percentages. What Maria Fassi can bring to the Taylormade team in a percentage base in the LPGA is it could be comparable to what Tiger, DJ, Jason Day, John Ram, and Rory could bring to the Taylormade team in a percentage base, right? We pay them a percentage, and then what kind of percentage can they bring to the sales floor as a team, in the men's side and the women's side.
A player who recently made that same transition from amateur to professional is current world number 2 Nelly Korda. Nelly is one of the biggest sponsorship drawers on the LPGA Tour and is widely considered as the figurehead of women's golf. As one of the best women golfers on the planet, Nelly doesn't need to worry about sponsorship deals. But when I spoke to her, she said it's not as easy as one would think getting sponsorship on the women's circuit.
It's even hard even on the main tour. Like there's some LPGA girls that don't even have many sponsors, that have maybe one. So for us, it's a lot harder, but you'll never see a male with just one sponsor on the PGA Tour.
Sponsorship endorsement is one of the biggest talking points in the game to date. In 2015, male golfer Tiger Woods made $48 million in sponsorship endorsements, and he was ranked outside the top 100 at the time. Compare that to Lydia Ko, who made $750,000 that year, and she was ranked the world's #1 women's golfer. Obviously, there is a massive divide. As staggering as this is, it didn't surprise Marie.
I mean, my reaction hearing those numbers, if you want my truthful, honest opinion, I mean, I know this isn't going to sound great being a women's golfer, but a lot of the women's golfers I know, the fact that we don't watch women's golf, I think that right there shows a little bit of evidence that like something within the way that they're marketing the LPGA is not working, which leads to less money, obviously. And it's more interesting watching the men, so it doesn't surprise me that they make so much more money because people want to watch that, and that's what sells.
In an informal survey that I sent out to 62 golf fans, the majority of them said they don't watch women play because they don't find them entertaining. 63% said they found the men's game more entertaining because they're more skillful, and 23% said it was more entertaining down to the individuals on the course. When I spoke to Kelby Scharmann, a male pro who has spent time playing on the Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour Canada, he agreed that the entertainment factor is crucial for the sport's viewers.
The male game attracts more sponsors, viewers, and money. It's just more dynamic. People love to watch guys bash on driver all day, and that's kind of, you've seen that in the game. The courses have gotten longer, so there's a premium on hitting the ball further, which, you know, it's the sound of the, you know, someone smacking a driver sounds really good, and so people love to go watch that. I think also event sponsors have done a good job of putting on a good experience. Now the access would be similar in women's events. I just don't think as exciting because of just the way the game is played. I mean, women are very good golfers. You know, they actually hit the ball straighter than men do. They hit it closer proximity to the hole with similar clubs. Obviously those are at different distances, but it's just a different game.
When asking Nelly her thoughts on why the male game is considered more entertaining, she agreed with Kelby, but finds it hard to understand why spectators want to see women golfers play more erratic.
To be honest, men hit it kind of all over the place. I think maybe we could be boring because we hit fairways and greens like all the time. We have to pull off shots like that we don't have to because we don't usually put ourselves into that position usually. When I guess we hit fairways and greens, like it's boring to the people. They want to see like the snapshots around the trees and like stuff like that we don't necessarily put ourselves into.
According to Marie, another reason why the women's game is regarded as less entertaining is down to the lack of interaction players have with spectators.
I'm always just like disappointed that the women don't engage with the audience. They don't react when they sink 30-footers for birdie. I like to see a little more character on the golf course. And I mean, I feel like within women's professional golf, if your profit is coming from your fan base, I don't think they do an amazing job of like interacting with the fan base as well as like the men's golf does. I think maybe the women's game needs a little more of the meshing of the advertisement side and the personality character side, and a little bit of the meshing of the great, amazing playing, which I know is so hard to do because it's like up to the individual of like how they want to act, how they want to interact. But I think if women's golf really wants to grow and get kind of the same sponsorships, there needs to be a little more fire on the golf course and personality.
In all sport, the media plays a major role in where the viewer's attention goes. From sponsorship to tournament purses to basically everything in the game of golf, it's all dependent on what the media covers and what it does not. Nelly agreed that the media coverage is key to why the men earn more money.
Because they get more viewers out on TV and they get more fans, they get more opportunities.
Well, I'm looking at the statistics, and the men's biggest tournament purse is $15 million compared to the women's biggest tournament purse is $5.5 million. So is that all down to them already having more people watching them?
That's how it is. Like, once you have more viewers on TV, then you have bigger contracts, you have more money. So that's how it's like a step by step.
In March 2020, the LPGA signed a deal alongside the PGA Tour, giving them increased TV coverage. The deal that will run from 2022 till 2030 will continue the LPGA's anchor programming on the Golf Channel, but will also increase events aired on NBC and CBS each year.
The more we're on TV and the better TV deal we have, the more sponsors will up the price in our prize money, I would say. It's not necessarily about the fans that show up to the events. I mean, it's great. Like, we love when we have fans at our events. Like, I played the Solheim Cup last year and I've never seen so many fans in my entire life. I mean, it's such a cool experience. So it's pretty much what the PGA Tour have every year, but at the end of the day, for the prize money to up, the tournament has to make money at the event. So the better TV deal it has, the more viewers it has, the more our prize money is gonna skyrocket.
To shed more light on the role that the media plays in the game, I spoke with sports journalist Peter Moore.
I think if they got more exposure, that would make a massive amount of difference. But obviously, to get more exposure, you've got to somehow get an article that big TV companies are going to pull in, and also get money for, etc., and sell worldwide. To be perfectly frank, whether it's TV, radio, print, online, etc., the men's game is always going to have that slightly bit more exposure. It's not a sexist thing, I don't think. No, I'll be honest with you, Charles. I generally feel it's something that this has happened or it's been going on for many years, and I think the women's version of any sport, whether it's golf, etc., is still lagging a little way behind. I feel at the moment they've got reasonable exposure, but as I said, it's like anything, it certainly needs improving, Charles. Yeah, at the end of the day, it definitely needs improving.
But why isn't there as much women's golf media coverage as the men's?
Perhaps it's an old age thing. I think it generally goes back to when sport first started getting coverage of television. At the time, women really weren't involved in a lot of sport. And it didn't, you got to a situation where sport, say 20 years ago, I use that as an example, generally was only really to be considered a man's game. They still see in their own eyes that the women's game really doesn't need sponsorship. It doesn't need exposure out there, but it does.
When I spoke to Juan, he said that Taylormade bases a large majority of sponsorship decisions off TV ratings.
It's on TV watchers. It's on that Sunday where we put what channel do we put on Sunday? It's that effect, because the money comes from the weekend TV. We all know that those commercials, as a company, we try to put those commercials on Sunday because we know that most people are watching on Sunday. For me, it's more reliable and more important to watch a Sunday at the Players, right? Because I want to see maybe Rory win. I want to see Ricky Fowler win with our new ball, like those kind of things.
So we have heard some of the reasons why inequality exists in the game of golf. But the question remains, what can be done? On the survey that I sent out, I asked golf fans how equality could be improved in the game of golf. Two answers stood out: for the LPGA to shorten courses and for more worldwide team events. Answers that many of our interviewees agreed with.
I hit the ball short. I don't hit the ball very far. I do hit it straight. And I could see my teammates in the international team in Barry University bragging about, or just telling me about how they reached a par 5 and 2 and how they had the chance to make eagle. I probably, in my 22 years playing golf, I probably had the chance to make eagle twice. So I believe if LPGA would shorten the yardage for the ladies, that would make a huge difference, as almost as raising up what they're making. LPGA players don't make the same as PGA Tour players, and I think that's a big factor.
I still think that it's an easier game for men just because of the physical nature of it. Just men can generate more power than women can, and so they can hit the ball further. And a lot of times golf courses aren't set up fairly for women. They don't have as much of a distance advantage off the tee that they should, and so it's not as fun. So they get discouraged easier than a man would, I would say.
The golfers they get excited with birdies and eagles. So yeah, for sure, that could definitely help.
Is that the only thing that can be done to improve the state of the game, or is there something else?
They change the format, make more match play tournaments. I don't know, make team tournaments. I think in the LPGA there's a numerous amount of countries out there, and I think of my experience watching TV and watching the LPGA, the tournaments that I watch are more team tournaments than individual tournaments. So if the LPGA sees that in a bigger scale, well, let's make more team tournaments to see if we have a bigger audience.
The big tournament last year, the Solheim Cup, which Europe won, it was enjoyment for 3 whole days. It really was. And it was as good as the Ryder Cup, which is obviously the men's version. The exposure that brought in particular, I think helped a great deal more than anything.
Of course, there is also hope that the LPGA Tour can find an iconic figure who can help increase the popularity of the women's game.
Tiger pretty much changed golf, and I think he's the reason on the PGA Tour why golf is so successful. Unfortunately, we don't have a Tiger Woods in women's golf, and I feel like if we did have a Tiger Woods in women's golf, then it would be a completely different story. There has to be always that one individual that kind of pushes it, and like hopefully, like, it could be me, it could be someone else, like, you know, time will tell.
Open. Let's hear it for Nelly Korda.
As you have heard from interviewees, inequality in the game of golf is a highly debated topic. This short vodcast has shown that the women's game still appears to be some way off the overall package that the male game presents. Recently, a change has been occurring, with the women's game gaining more attention and exposure, but the game will have to wait and see if the gap will ever level out. I'm Charles Green, thank you so much for watching and listening, and goodbye.